So hi Klaus, thank you very much for showing us around your beautiful property. So you are the owner of Borgo Santo Pietro,
Yeah,
right?
that's
But
correct.
you're not Italian.
No, far from. I'm born in Denmark, then lived in England for 20 odd years, and then we've lived here now for 10 years. My wife equally is Danish, and no, so we're not Italians, we just love Italy.
How is it, being here in Italy? It's quite a big change from moving from Denmark or from the UK down here.
I think there's the obvious things. One is the weather, but there's also the political aspect or the bureaucracy aspect that in Denmark things runs a bit more efficiently. It's a small population of 6 million people. Here it's a much bigger population and it's run in a Mediterranean way. But the lifestyle is great here. I don't think that you can find, from all my travels, I don't think I could find any lifestyle I rather wanted at Italy, even with all its, what should we say, sometimes difficult moments. Italy still is taking its smitting, and we bought this 20 years ago and we're still here. So
it's like a slow life, right?
I don't know if it's slow. I think that the idea of it is a slow life. I don't think the reality is a slow life. If you want to build something like this and you want to create an international connection, it could be seen to be slow life, and I hope in some years it will be slower.
So tell me about this place. So when you bought it, it was obviously not in this shape. So can you just
No,
maybe...
it was. There's the principal main building is a very old building that dates back to the 11th century, and it was fallen into decay. Has been unoccupied for 27 years when we found it as a ruin. And we bought it within half an hour, and we fell in love immediately. And the energy here, we really were connected to, without knowing that this place has special energies. At that time, we didn't know the history about the place. We just loved that it was on a flat piece of land instead of sitting on a hilltop, and then having this beautiful Val Serena in the back, which there's no buildings, which is quite different. And that it was connected to a little town, Palazzetto, and then Custino above, and then it has this fantastic 2 kilometers from here, San Galgano, which if you haven't seen it, you should definitely go and visit. It has all the relics, and they even believe the Holy Grail is there. So there's...
Okay, so everybody who is looking for the Holy Grail is here.
They come here. They come. I don't know if they look many places in the world, but the Italians believe it's here. So you have San Galgano, which has the sword in the rock, and you have the abbey next door, which is the roofless abbey they use for open air concert. So it kind of had a lot of very interesting things around this property. So we bought it to be a property for ourselves to retire in, and found out that was probably too slow a life. And then we started, with the help of the commune, to start converting the idea into becoming what it is today, a 22-bedroom, hopefully luxury resort. Or resort is the wrong word. We must see it more as an estate. I think
retreat. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the resort name is a bit antiquated. So
yeah, the energy, I have to admit, the energy is so special compared to all the other places we have visited in Tuscany so far. It's like a completely different vibe, and when you enter the gate, you feel that you are on a special place. Tell me something more, a pragmatic question. How long did it take to, let's say, from the ruin to opening the hotel as it is?
7 years. So we spent 7 years creating the garden, because around us here was just fields and old buildings which dated back to this 11th century. So we started creating the grounds and the lakes and the pool and all the garden walls, and established the planting whilst renovating the villa and waiting for permission. So we opened 7 years after we purchased it.
So 2008? Right?
Yeah, and then we opened as a small 8-bedroom hotel. And then we slowly, every year, with the expansion plans in the winter, we have now reached 22 rooms, and are looking to expand the next part to have a much bigger spa. Even though we have I think a lovely spa now, but we would love a spa that would enable us to be open also in the winter season. So that's the plan.
So how big is the property? The whole property seems you have vineyards here.
300 acres.
300 acres.
Yeah. So there's about 30 acres of vineyards now. Half of that, which has been in production for the last 2 years, we've done Vendemmia. And the vineyard you see here below will have its first Vendemmia this year.
Okay.
And then, so we have the farm, which I think you were going to have a look at afterwards. So we have the 300 sheep, where we do 11 different types of our own cheeses, pecorino cheeses in different ways.
We tried the pecorino; it's delicious.
Thanks. No,
We tried it at breakfast, also the salami, and yesterday we tried the sheep salami, which was just out of this world.
Yeah, I mean, so we've expanded the farm quite a lot. So we have pigs, we have 170 chickens, we have alpacas for the beauty of alpacas, but because my wife has a project with wool, and then we have rabbits, which we use for the plate as well. So we use the lamb, we use the pork, and we use the rabbit. The chickens we only use for the egg, and then obviously vegetables and whatever else. We are growing the best part of 2 hectares of vegetable garden. So we are far beyond self-sufficient. We are also giving away to locals or selling to locals.
Okay.
So it is.
So you have like a local store as well, or?
No, we let the outlets go through the market in Siena.
Okay.
You know, so it's interesting.
We're definitely buying some of that to taking back home. For the property, 300 acres, when you're fully occupied, you have 50 guests, right? Let's say, more or less. So that makes it 6 acres per guest. So what I like on this place is actually all the hidden corners, small hideaways. It's very special. I mean, for the number of guests, I would say that you could have 100 more rooms for all the outside areas that you have. How did you come up with this idea? Because that's pretty unique.
I mean, we came up with this idea because living in London and me being in property developing, I've been developing some beautiful properties in the outskirts of London, Oxfordshire, and so like. And these properties, they had big grounds in the old days, and people used to invite their friends out. And we kind of had this idea, my wife came up with, it could be nice to do a hotel concept on this way where you feel more private. And therefore, we were one of the first hotels to introduce that you don't sign for anything. I mean, now it's kind of becoming trend, but when we opened 11, 12 years ago, hotels generally, even you were interrupted constantly to sign for for a coffee or a piece of cake or something. So we wanted it to feel like you were really staying in a friend's place where you could have what you want, when you want, where you want. That was the concept. So this times about breakfast is over or lunch is not started yet, it was completely to go. And we felt if that was to work to its fullest, we need to create a garden that gave different rooms for people to sit rather than the more traditional one big terrace with one pool and a bar. And everyone kind of is around that area. And because we're from Denmark and coming to a place that have so much beautiful weather to offer, we felt we kind of needed to stage or furnish these areas so they were permanently furnished rather than you having to move chairs around to new areas. So we created, as you have seen walking through, all these 10, 15 unique locations around the garden, which all have their chairs or benches or relaxing beds and so forth. And the idea with that was that when people go for a stroll, they find their own little local corner for reading a book or having a glass of champagne or whatever they feel like.
Coming to Champagne, you have a 2 Michelin star restaurant, correct?
No, we have 2 restaurants. There's 1 star. One
One
star
star.
here and 1 star in Florence.
So both have 1
star,
stars,
yeah.
So this restaurant, obviously priority for guests. How many tables do you have?
No, we can sit up to 40 guests in total,
okay.
so we can house all our guests and people from outside. But the general is we do 30 covers.
Wow.
We really, again, we don't try to, we're not pushing high numbers. It's not what we're about.
Well, as far as I know, for most of the owners of these restaurants, once you have a Michelin star, it becomes not really a money-making machine, but rather money-consuming machine. How is it here in this case? It must be quite expensive to keep such a thing running in such a small place, such a small property.
No, but it is. But I think the benefit is being in the hotel, inside a hotel. It's slightly easier to run because the same kitchen can also help with the cakes and the amenity for the rooms and can help with the breakfast. So you spread the cost and the manpower out a little bit more. Like a restaurant in Florence, which is a standalone restaurant, it requires more covers, it requires more marketing. But I believe we have been quite good in making them all at minimum break even and sometimes profitable, which I think for most hotels to have a restaurant that just break even is already a win-win.
Yeah, I can say the situation now, obviously after coronavirus, I was surprised that today actually you're fully booked, as far as I understand,
Yeah.
the second day after corona, and you're already fully booked.
Yeah.
Customers not worried coming back, or how did you manage to reopen with such a big success immediately?
We have a big follow. We have a huge clientele of repeat guests. These guests are spread out all over the world, and clearly at the moment, America is on that Latin part is not so easy for them to travel. So we therefore are more depending on the European market, maybe even the local flight or the drive-through market. So for that reason, it has been important for us in Instagram and in the concept to try to really make aware that we are here. And as you have seen, we are a hotel, but we're effectively a villa rental at the same time, because every room have virtually their own entrance and they have their own gardens. So we kind of offer fully serviced villa rental, or we offer a hotel experience depending on what client wants. And so what we've done is we've done a lot about treating the rooms. We've done a special coating which they're working on now with Emirates and the White House, which is a coating of all the walls, the ceilings, and the floors, and that kills 97% of all the bacteria as an active ingredient. So it's nanotechnology. So that is what we've promoted to make people aware of, that we've taken it very serious to have something that actually, as most people know, this is transferred either through coughing or by you touching, and by killing 97% of it, if something should happen, we believe we have done everything we're able to.
You have definitely done an incredible job, even with the antibacterial liquid you use, because everywhere you have to use it now. We saw it in Italy, all the places, even with luxury boutiques, but yours smells the best. How have you achieved it? Tell me.
That was easy because we have a skincare line which, as my wife have worked on 6 years, and we launched 2 years ago in Liberty, and now today we're launching in Bon Marché in Paris.
Wow.
And we're now in Landai Island in Hawaii. So the skincare is very important to us, and we're having some very great feedback. So for her to take the opportunity to go on and say, let's do our own hand sanitizer before we open, wasn't that complicated.
Wow.
So our own lab just here in Palazzetto, which produces all our products for the body care and for the facial, that just became a little job for them to come up with and print some bottles up. So that was easy.
Well, I can say that you are a very active man. You're an active couple together with your wife.
Yeah, definitely.
When are you planning to retire? When you bought this place for retirement, tell me what's the plan now?
I mean, you're absolutely right. We seem to be active, but I think my wife, she is the driver behind this. She has a lot of great ideas, and I clearly support them, and we do it together. So it's hard to say if we ever will retire, because if you do something you love doing, it's hard to say. But I would imagine in the next 3 to 5 years, we will probably have finished the winery and the things that we also would like to do. And at that time, maybe we have reached the size and the concept of what we really want to get to. Because one thing we are very, very conscious about is to not grow into become, as you mentioned, these 100 rooms. It is very easy to get carried into a spreadsheet and say, now the product works, we're fully booked, now you just multiply by 5. Borgo Santo Pietro, the minute that would happen, would die. And that's not we will grow slowly, and maybe one day we will be 30 rooms, but it's that kind of number. We are not looking for high numbers. And when that's all established, maybe retirement is a semi-automatic thing, that we not retired, but we're involved.
I can imagine Klaus in 20 years still, being around, shaking hands with guests. And that's exactly how it shall be. That's the hoteliers of the old era, when you could see and feel the owner's presence in the place, which definitely makes the difference. And we can feel it here. We saw your wife early in the morning at the breakfast, I think among the first kind of stuff,
Yeah.
And that's definitely something you do not see much and often nowadays.
No, and I think that is the good old hotelier we fell in love with. Not that we come from that industry, but I think you're absolutely right. That still has a lot of value, and I think probably now, based on what the world is seeing of changes, probably even more, because I think going back to smaller places where there's a clear connection with nature, and maybe also a clear connection with the staff and the ownership, maybe it will end up having a much bigger value than it has had for the last 10 years.
I definitely agree. Klaus, thank you very much
You're very
for
welcome.
your time. We are really pleased to discover your beautiful property, and I highly recommend everybody who wants to experience something truly unique to come meet Klaus and his beautiful wife and enjoy this hidden gem in the middle of Tuscany.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Look
Klaus.
forward to show you the other things.
Yeah,
after.
we are looking
Okay.
forward. Thank
All
you.
the best.
Thank you,
Thank
Klaus.
you. Thanks.